My name is Ross. I'm head of mobile and head of gaming at Twitter, and this is the last session today, and I'm probably the last thing standing between you and a few local beers here in Amsterdam and your flight back to respective countries. So I promise to keep this interesting and exciting, or do my very best. I want to chat to you guys a little bit today about where Twitter fits into the ecosystem from a gaming perspective, and what makes Twitter a unique platform for all of the different gaming companies that we work for. And the title of this presentation is called The Power of Now. And it's called The Power of Now because we believe in live marketing for games developers. We believe there's a critical distinction between platforms that exhibit audience size and exhibit all of the powerful factors any marketer makes a decision when investing in a platform, and a platform that exhibits recency and a platform that exhibits intent. And we believe Twitter is that platform that exhibits recency and exhibits intent, and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about that today. So kicking off, as you'd expect, this story starts with a tweet, and we see many different users, celebrities, super users talk about apps and talk about mobile games on our platform on a daily basis. Here's an example from Ashton Kutcher. This app just received homepage real estate on my phone. Or alternatively, tweet from a super user. Trivia crack is love, trivia crack is life. Or you can basically split my life into two eras, before trivia crack and after trivia crack. Or slightly stranger ones from Josh Groban. Is anyone else playing Crossy Road as Poopy Bird? No? So the point of these tweets, and that's just a small sample, is to illustrate that Twitter is a platform where users come to have app conversations. And what I'm about to show you is what we believe is a living, breathing organism inside Twitter, a live app store. And you see the speed and propagation of that conversation across every country globally represents users talking about the top 20 grossing games over the last 30 days on Twitter. And we can see there's over 44 million explicit mentions around the top 20 grossing games in the App Store. When we look a little bit further into our own user base, and I'll talk about some of the behaviors in a moment, what you see in front of you is our total audience size as a business. And everyone in this room is familiar with Twitter. Hands up how many Twitter users are in this room. Great, so a good sample, close to 70%. Some of you may not be familiar with other parts of our audience and other parts of our ecosystem. So the very core circle here is the Twitter app. What you see outside, the second concentric circle, is our logged out experience. And inside our very core app, we have access to 320 million users. Looking at our second audience, we have access to over 500 million users in our logged out experience. The third part of our business is what we call Twitter Audience Platform, where a marketer has access to over 1 billion unique users across the mobile ad exchange. It's a supply-side platform we brought into the Twitter family about 2 years ago. And the fourth part of our business is called Fabric, which is our mobile modular development platform, if you like a mouthful this evening. And that enables games developers to build social experiences into their game and build Twitter into their games to create a more compelling social environment. So all of that conversation that I showed you does not happen in a vacuum. And we've carried this analysis out for many different categories of mobile games, in casual, in softcore, in midcore, hardcore. And we see a very symbiotic trend, a very, very strong corollary trend between conversation volume inside Twitter and app install volume outside of Twitter. The game you see in front of you is Three's Game. Three's Game is one of the most successful iOS games last year. And we trendline conversation volume over app install volume. And you can see the dips and spikes are very symbiotic with one another. When we look at games like Candy Crush Jelly Saga, or Mobile Strike from Machine Zone, or Clash of Clans from Supercell, we see the very same trends for those larger games developers too. But what I want to communicate here is that it's not the privilege of large games developers to have this opportunity. We see it for small, medium-sized, and large-sized developers as well. So what we've seen is that Twitter is that platform which represents recency, represents intent. So what is the opportunity for marketers, and how can they bring that to life? Well, if you remember about 10 months ago, there was an incident on Twitter where a Tory MP was caught playing Candy Crush Saga in the Parliament, live on television, when he should have been doing something very important as a politician. Of course, this went on to trend in multiple countries globally, in the USA, in the United Kingdom, in many different European markets. And what's the opportunity for any games developer when you see all of this conversation around a casual game on Twitter? And we saw a multitude of different games marketers respond to this in kind. Well, one example, but the strongest example we saw was from King.com directly themselves, where they responded to this games developer. Even MPs are playing it. Tap to play. Very simple contextual message delivered in real time, emphasizing the simplicity of the Twitter platform, but also highlighting how games marketers can achieve strong return on effort and strong return on investment. Also want to show you this TVC from Supercell. Some of you will be familiar with this ad from Liam Neeson. What you will be less familiar with is the aftermath of this on Twitter and how Twitter users and gamers responded to this on our platform. So I'll show you the TVC and get some audio, please, in the back, and then show you guys some data around the spot.
I don't know you, Big Buffet Boy 85, but if you think you can humiliate me and take my gold, think again. Oh, I'm coming for you with lots of barbarians and dragons. I can't wait to destroy your village while you beg for mercy, but you will get no mercy. I will have my revenge.
Liam? I have a scone for Liam?
Over here. It's, Liam. You will regret the day you crossed Angry Neeson 52. Angry Neeson 52.
Okay, so the spot itself is probably one of the more creative TV advertisements we've ever seen from a games developer in the history of mobile gaming. But what happened on Twitter directly after, and in a sustained period for weeks after this TV advertisement, was the response from users, where we saw inside that single airing, inside a 24-hour period, over 26 million impressions of Clash of Clans content delivered into the timelines of Twitter users, exhibiting that strong relationship between TV and that strong relationship between Twitter, which I'll speak about in a moment. But it's also a proof point that gamers are on Twitter, and specifically softcore to mid-core gamers are on Twitter, where there's a very strong appetite for this kind of content on our platform, and these users are actively seeking out opportunities to consume that content. So, having spoken about a brief overview as to where Twitter fits into the gaming ecosystem and what makes it unique, I want to touch on some of the challenges that face app marketers today. So the first is reaching fragmented audiences on mobile. Multi-channel attribution across multiple platforms, attribution across multiple ad networks. The second is understanding the new conversion funnel and how all of those platforms contribute to a holistic conversion funnel. And the third is connecting users with moments. So providing the right user with the right message at the right time and in the right environment. But what if you could easily reach people live on mobile? What if you could be more relevant all day and every day? And what if you could deliver those engaging content experiences on mobile? So they're the three pillars of what we believe makes Twitter a unique platform. And I want to touch on the first of those in a moment, which was live reach. So in the introduction, you saw some anecdotes and use cases for how games developers are approaching live reach on Twitter. What I wanted to spend a little bit of time on is how games developers can achieve live reach outside of Twitter. So our vision as a business is to create a full and comprehensive ad tech stack for games marketers so that they have one single destination for user acquisition on Twitter and user acquisition off Twitter, re-engagement on Twitter and re-engagement off Twitter. And if you look at what makes Twitter so powerful, it's data. We have all of this rich data on all of our users. We understand if a user is male, if he follows Clash of Clans, if he's on a Samsung S6 device, if he's located in New York. We understand if he's interested in casual games. We also understand if he's interested in specific music artists. So we have all of these inflection points and all of these data points, that are very powerful for any marketer. On the other hand, we have huge scale, not only in the Twitter business, but also across MoPub, which is our supply-side platform, and access to 1 billion unique devices. We want to bring both of those together, and we call that Twitter Audience Platform. And what you see in front of you is the on-Twitter experience, where a games marketer can reach and acquire users on Twitter, and the off-Twitter experience, where you can reach users across your favorite apps with compelling native creative. So I won't go into too much detail on the technical piece of this and what the dashboard looks like, but we'll be releasing this to market in April, and we're really excited about it, having seen fantastic results in beta and close to general release in a couple of months. The second pillar is everyday relevance, and games is a huge part of Twitter. There's about 10 million gaming mentions on our platform every week. But what if you're a retail application, or what if you're Glue Mobile, who's developing a mobile game about Kim Kardashian, or any games developer that has an inherently female demographic, and you want to reach users talking about sports-related mentions or retail-related mentions. When we look at sports-related mentions on Twitter, there's about 14 million mentions of sports-related conversation on our platform every 7 days. When we look at other categories like shopping and retail, we can see there's 20 million mentions. And when we look at gaming, we can see there's 15 million mentions. And what you'll notice across the three categories is the predictability of the data over that 7-day consecutive sample. The data is very, very predictable. And predictability is a good thing because it enables you as a marketer to plan against that predictability and ensure you have full visibility on a 7-day basis through always-on campaigns or burst campaigns when you need to capture more users for your application. All of that data is packaged up in our ads UI, where you can reach users by what they're tweeting about, who they follow, what they're interested in, what kind of device they're using, what gender they are, where they're located, what language they're using, and what kind of TV shows they consume. We can also see that 52% of our users talk about apps they like to family and friends. So word of mouth is increasingly become a method of app discovery, and we see a lot of that originate on the Twitter platform explicitly. When we delve deeper into that 320 million monthly active users, we see that almost 60% of them have installed an app in the last month. And when you look at mobile games as a specific category and a specific subset of that user base, that number increases to 65%. And the average Twitter user has about 25% more apps on their device as compared to the average smartphone user. So those statistics and those stats are shareable to the point that Twitter is that platform where users are coming to have conversations. And most importantly, it has an impact on your bottom line, where we can see that 36% of Twitter users have apps on their phone that they've paid for, and 27% of our users have carried out in-app purchases over the last 4 weeks. And when we look at the UK as one single market and the spending power of that sample of users, in the last 4 weeks alone, Twitter UK users via export have spent close to $70 million on apps and on in-app purchases, illustrating that, number one, those users have good trends and patterns of behavior in your game. They're good actors that you want to get into your app. And secondly, that those trends and patterns of behaviors translate into revenues, most importantly, and gross bookings. We're also exploring other methods in which we can reach users on Twitter through app targeting, as an example. So about a year ago, we started to read what apps a user had installed on their handset to provide a more compelling advertiser experience, but most importantly, a more compelling user experience. So we can understand if a user has installed specific casual games or specific mid-core games or specific RPG or strategy games, and offer that data up to marketers in a blind, anonymized way for data security purposes to ensure that they're reaching users who are powerful whales to get into their games inside the first 90 days. We also enable marketers to use their own data assets through tailored audiences. So use a marketer and everyone in this room will know who the most valuable users and players in their app are. Users who have carried out X amount of purchases in the last 14 days, or users who have reached level 6, level 7. As an example, you can use all of that data and marry it with Twitter technology to, via predictive modeling techniques, to acquire users who have a higher propensity to carry out that specific action and ensure that you have a key marketing strategy in place around that. We also enable our partners to buy media in a way that they purchase media from all of their partners via CPI bidding, and most importantly for lifetime value, you can set up lookalike campaigns focused on lifetime value, surface all of those data points to us in the ads UI in a way that you're comfortable with, and set up automated ways of acquiring those users to ensure stronger return on effort for you as a business. So we've looked at live reach and we've looked at everyday relevance. We're now going to look at engaging content. So app promotion commands very high awareness. We see strong numbers of recognition and recall. Roughly 47% of our users recall seeing a mobile app install card on Twitter. And when we look at users under the age of 25, that number increases to 70%. So as well as seeing clear performance benefits, you'll see all of that brand uplift at the same time. Here's an example of how some partners are using our Twitter as a creative canvas on our platform, from Angry Birds who are using image app cards through to games developers like Nordeus, who I'll show you in a moment, who are using video app cards quite successfully. Video app cards is something we're investing in quite heavily as a business. We see very strong trends and patterns of engagement, roughly 45% increase in download intent when a marketer uses video on our platform. Here's a spot from Nordeus.
Everything is a game. Life, football, doesn't matter. People will always think they know you. They'll even judge you and tell you you are a failure, a zero. We regret things in our past. But there is a way back. Always a way. You know? In any fight, you got to believe in yourself. Never go back. Want it more. Try harder. Be an enemy for others. You will sweat blood for this game. Tear down everyone else around you. You will fight your way into the light. You will live the revenge.
Oh, imagine!
Are you not listening to me? Yeah, I am. Go on.
Top 11 2015. Be the special one. Download now for...
So that was a piece of medium form content. This specific marketer chopped it up in short form content to make it acceptable for Twitter. And something that's less spoken about around Twitter and in marketing generally as a trend is what is the earned media that you as a marketer are achieving on any platform, whether that's Google, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter. And Twitter, most importantly, is live, it's public, it's conversational. And because it's live, because it's public, because it's conversational, and all of that content travels across Twitter, it's completely open garden. This marketer and every marketer on Twitter usually sees quite strong uplifts in earned media. Looking at this specific campaign, it drove a 4:1 earned paid ratio. And Nordeus also achieved 25% stronger ARPU as compared to other channels. I want to touch on Twitter and TV to finish up and give you guys some insight into how games marketers are using Twitter as an effective channel for TV. So some statistics first. 67% of our users tweet whilst watching TV, and 90% of all online conversations around TV happen on Twitter. It's a very easy way to reach those premium audiences where you can reach users who are watching specific TV shows live. You can reach users who are watching specific movies live. You can reach users who are watching specific networks live the entire time. We ingest linear satellite data, electronic programming guide data, and have our own TV technology to detect when specific TV ads air. So a lot of games marketers who are investing in TV also run media on Twitter at the same time to reinforce the TV media and ensure that their GRPs are delivering as much as they possibly could be. Looking at the spending pattern of those users, so there's 3 categories of users on this slide. The first is a Twitter user, the second is a smartphone user, and the third is a Twitter times TV user. And we see generally that Twitter TV users index much more strongly to carry out in-app purchases as compared to any other user. And we also see that engaging with video drives 40% more campaign awareness and 44% increase in download intent. So that was quite timely, as I'm beginning to lose my voice. But guys, thanks so much for your time. That was a good overview of where Twitter fits into the gaming world. Happy to open up for Q&A if any guys have any questions.
Thank you, Ross. My favorite question.
Thank you. You mentioned 320 million monthly active users, and then there was a figure you showed about 500 million logged out users. What's the definition of a logged out user as opposed to a monthly active user? I'm not sure I understand that.
Monthly active user has at least 3 sessions in 1 month, whereas a logged out user, and they're an active user of Twitter, who comes quite regularly to the app or to twitter.com. A logged out user is a user who finds Twitter via other methods. So it could be in search, it could be via Tumblr, it could be via Facebook, so where they're not logged into.
So they're not an active. Okay, I understand. Yeah. Thanks.
You mentioned Clash of Clans. You know, a couple of interesting cases where Twitter played an important role. Do you have an example of a game where Twitter is actually very well integrated in the game? Yeah. Do you have any advice for game developers what to do, how to integrate Twitter?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very important part of our business. So how games developers build in Twitter to their games is via Fabric, and specifically the Twitter kit, which is a modular kit that sits inside that SDK. So really great examples to look at are Game Insight Cloud Raiders, Mag Interactive Ruzzle, Dots and Play Dots, and Rovio, actually. So if you go to Rovio, you'll see content. If you go to Angry Birds Fight, you'll see content from Twitter in the game, and another solution that we call Digits, which is a sign-in solution via Twitter.
Okay, thanks very much. Thank you.
Great.